I'm going to go ahead and call to order the City Council business meeting of April 28, 2026, and it was still 6 o'clock, so we're still good. Would you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Could I get a roll call, please?
Westwood?
Here.
Battle?
Here.
Daniel? Here. Davis?
Here.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Bruce?
Here.
Stephen?
Here.
Mayor, the call is not working.
Okay, thank you for that. Will you excuse me, I'm going to go play text for just a minute. Video.
Oh, I just put it up there.
And furthermore, here we go, I need a pen. All right. Whomever noticed that, thank you.
Lonnie? That would be Miss Lonnie. Your city clerk.
All right, we finished the roll call, correct?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion from Council Member Ronning, a second from Council Member Tupin. Any discussion at the table? Hearing none and seeing no surprises on the agenda, can I get a roll call, please?
Battle?
Here.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
6-0, the motion passes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 14th.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Council Member Rood, a second from Council Member Tupin. Discussion at the table. Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Battle?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Stephen?
Yes.
6-0 motion passes, and a special call out and thank you to Lonnie for preparing those each week. I know sometimes it's a project in and of itself, and I do appreciate it. For the mayor's comments, I apologize, there's a few things, so it'll take just a moment. So thank you for your patience. First off, there are several handouts that I handed out, including some that will come up during public comment, basically. There was one that was handed out by Brian, and I sent everybody an electronic copy because I realized this was one of the attachments double-sided. So you all, and I have one hard copy if somebody is really fond of hard copies, that one's available.
What is that?
It'll come up at public comment.
Oh.
It's the Northwest Energy.
Oh, okay.
filing.
Thank you.
All right. First off, let me look around in the room. I would like to start off with just a general thank you to the coordinated efforts of the emergency response team that responded to our rather exciting week we had last week. And I've actually asked Chief Coons if he would give us a short summary, and I'm going to practice the timer and make sure I have it set up right, and kind of do your best guess to pre-guess based on the comments and what you've heard so far, what you think the updates that the city would appreciate.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tompkins Fire Chief. I think just to do this in the time frame that you've allotted here, which is awfully quick and I'm already wasting, is that overall the response to the fire was absolutely incredible. We were able to bring together resources not only from around the county but from around the state. Volunteer firefighters from around the area responded very quickly. In addition to our partners with the Forest Service, the BLM, and the state of Montana. The fire was primarily on Forest Service land, so they were the lead agency in the fight in this fire, but the resource was fully interagency and everybody worked together really, really well. I think regardless of the cause of the fire, the way that fire grew was not typical for April would be an understatement. And the response was, our ability to move the fire away from the homes and then to keep it up in the hills, really was a testament to the work that was done by the firefighters.
Do we feel comfortable saying that it's out and over at this point, or are we still waiting for some?
We don't do that until, what we will do is wait until it's hot and dry and not smoking is when we'll say it's out. So currently it's under snow, which is definitely helping a lot, but there could be hot spots in there. In fact, on Saturday, Sunday, so 2 days after the snowstorm, we had firefighters up there still putting out hot spots. So even with the snow, there are still some places that are hot. Currently, the Forest Service is continuing to manage the fire. They're managing it. They have a Type 4 IC as well as a 20-person hand crew that is there to monitor the fire as we move forward. That may ramp up if necessary, or ramp down if it doesn't look like it's necessary.
Well, this is not normal protocol. Let me just look to the table and see if there's any questions that council would like to ask while we've got Chief.
Sure, I always have one. Do we know what a cause is yet?
So we do not. The cause is under investigation.
Okay.
I have made this public in that we have done years and years of fuels reduction work up in the 400 ranch. Doing that involves cutting trees to reduce fire risk. And we create small piles the size of a campfire. And we burned piles that size on March 31st, so in March, 3 weeks before this fire started. And we had gone back and checked those piles, most recently on April 6th with thermal imaging cameras and people putting their hands in those piles to make sure that they were out. And those piles are in the vicinity of the fire start.
Okay.
So the cause is under investigation. It's being investigated by the Sheriff's Department as well as federal fire investigators from Forest Service. So I don't know when we'll have an idea. There's definitely a lot of questions that exist out there right now, and so we're working to work through those.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions from the table?
And no loss of structures.
No structures at all were lost.
That's amazing,
No one was
absolutely.
injured inside the fire.
Thank you for coming tonight and allowing me to make sure the beeper was functioning properly.
Thank you, Tom.
I would like to add a couple of additional thank yous to that in addition to Chief Coons. I want to thank Bo, our airport manager. I don't know how many of you had a chance to drive up there, but there was actually 3 different active, Lonnie, is that you sharing this presentation?
Nope.
Excuse me just a moment, folks. I want to make sure we're not getting hijacked. Who do we have that is co-host other than?
Jaws whiteboard. Jeff?
Excuse me.
Jaws is Jeff Wise.
Shouldn't be able to share a screen unless we've made him a co-host.
Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, that's addressed. We've had some exciting adventures with people with too much time on their hands, hijack meetings, and interesting things happen, which makes it really difficult when you then have to post those meetings online to figure out how to balance and direct that. So I apologize for that. Anyway, I wanted to thank Bo, who's our airport manager, who coordinated those efforts. They continue to learn every time we have an event. Robertson Straw, West Fork Shooting Range, Flood, we've had a few opportunities, but they had actually 1, 2, at least 3 different areas that they were using as active heliport landing areas spread out, and so I appreciate that. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank the community in general. I am aware of sandwiches and Gatorade and desserts. I actually did hear one specific response from one of the firefighters up there that said of all the places they go to fight fires, Red Lodge is absolutely their favorite because they get a better reception here than they do anywhere else. And I said, I understand the sentiment. Thank you for sharing it, but we don't want to see you again. So, but I think that deserves a special thank you to our community. People recognize and went out of their way to make sure that those folks knew they were appreciated, and I appreciate that. Second announcement I wanted to make is the resort tax meeting that was canceled last Wednesday. due to over half our board being involved directly or indirectly, evacuations or helping assist the fire, has been rescheduled and posted for tomorrow evening, so that's Wednesday the 29th at 5:30 p.m. I'm eager to see the results of the resort tax survey, and I know council and residents are as well. So that will be rescheduled tomorrow night at 5:30, and that posting has been out there. Last week, we had a bank reconstruction public comment meeting that took place on 4/23. We did record that meeting. It was advertised online, but we did use the regular city council link to record that meeting. It's not yet posted because there was a question about where the best place to put that is. I believe it'll be on the same project page as all of the other projects Public Works is currently working on right now. So we will get that posted out there. There was also some correspondence that was received from Katie Young. That correspondence was relayed on to the engineers. Also, FWP reached out to me directly. The gentleman who will actually be approving, those of you who've been involved as we've done these other bank reconstructions know there's Army Corps of Engineers, FWP, several DES, DEQ, it's just got an acronym. They're involved with approving this. And we put him in touch directly with the engineer to kind of help make sure we're ahead of that. Along that note, that actually brings me to the next stage of Mayor's comments. And for that, I'd like to call Mike Maples up to the podium, as well as Chad and Brandon and Darren, if you're here.
Our video's frozen. I don't know if you matter or not, but.
I can go look at that while if you'll get, so what this, I'll just shut up and let Mike do the introduction.
Okay. So, we did this project last year. I'm sure most of you are aware of it. It was a bank reconstruction project down by 9th and Cooper where the bank got washed out and it was threatening water and sewer in there. So Great West designed a project, it was paid for with FEMA money, and our 12% match. Donna's Construction or Donna's Excavation? Construction. Donna's Construction got the bid for it. The project came together really well. It was challenging. We had 9 or 10, most of it was on private land. So that presented some challenges that we got through. Contractor and the engineers did an excellent job working through that. And Bailey, the engineer on it, he submitted the project to the American Public Works Association. They evaluate projects for Project of the Year, and this project was awarded as a Project of the Year for projects less than $3 million. So, yes. And I went to Jackson 10 days ago and received the award for the city there, and then this one is for Donna's Construction. Thank you for your efforts and excellent work on this project.
Thank you for that. I know from a council and from a city administration standpoint, we originally, we'll go ahead and let.
Snow Creek Swimming.
Charlie's gonna love the publicity, it's fine.
When this project first came up and some of the agencies reached out to us and said, we might be able to have this approved by October, and I reached back and said, no, this needs to be done by the second week in June. There was a lot of hopping and emergency action, so, and then to go through that and then still get to the point that it's recognized. For those of you who can see the little picture on the plaques, it's Montana, Idaho,
and Wyoming.
And Wyoming.
The Rocky Mountain chapter of APWA, which is the 3 states.
Yeah, and so top project under $3 million, so.
Yay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Oh, my, the wall.
All right. A reminder while we're reviewing meetings, that Thursday, the 30th at 5:30, there's going to be a URA meeting down at the Roosevelt at 5:30 till 7. While that's not officially a city meeting, we will make that meeting available via the regular city council link, primarily so that we can report it and post it online. I would encourage people to attend that in person so they can interact and participate. The folks online, I don't think we really have a means to include them for that meeting, and it's not our meeting, so I don't want to push that on them, but we will record it for the public. Again, the main event at that presentation is the Urban Renewal District area on the north end of town. And then they'll do a little treats break, and then there will be a secondary part where we'll talk about the Rocky Fork Inn Park project, which, by the way, is what the meeting we just had last week on the bank reconstruction project is. And by the way of information, we went with Great West again. All the elements that were in our control, we went ahead and stuck with the folks that were bringing home plaques. So our goal, and then by involving those folks early, our goal and hope is that we will be able to get through that project in a timely manner. There is a question, by the way, whether that'll be this fall or if it'll end up being next spring, primarily having to do with harvesting willows and how well that was an important part of this project. So when we get that bid awarded, we'll probably work with the contractor who gets that to determine and accept the input and advice on that. And our city planner will be there at that meeting on Thursday night too, so he will be able to answer questions about both of those projects if folks have questions. Approved events, there was none at this time. I do have some that have been submitted, but those are back on me right now to get those approved through, so I'm just a little bit behind and I'll have those next time. One other comment is that our planners did reach out and they did release the BRIC funding. I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting. It was kind of in that same time frame. So we are continuing with that. We've reached out to the property owner and we will be submitting. I remember now because once we get to the point that there's a requirement for council approval, basically likely requirement for the approval in the event that we need to do the matching funds of 25% for the demolition. The federal.
What's the BRIC acronym mean again, please? Forgot.
If you give me 2 seconds, I can tell you.
Sorry.
If any of my engineers remember off their head, last week, building resilient infrastructure and communities.
Got it. Thank you.
It was on my list for last time, so I did spell it out there. So that was just a quiz. Hope I passed. So anyway, that is in process, and I believe that's all I had for mayor's comments. Is there anything from council that I failed to address? All right. With that, we will move on to the next section of the agenda, which is public comment. I will point out that this is the first of a few different public comment periods. We have one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end of the meeting. We don't limit it to on the agenda, off the agenda. I realize some people's schedules aren't necessarily flexible to do that. In addition to that, as you go to the resolutions and ordinances under action items, we will have a public comment period for each one of those action items, okay? With that, I will go ahead and set the timer up, and if you will start by coming up to the podium, stating your name. If you're associated with an organization, if you would share that, and then you have 3 minutes, and I'll try to do this so it's not distracting, because when I did the 1 minute, 30 seconds, that was distracting, so hopefully this will be less so. Go ahead and open public comment. We look first to the room, if anybody in the room would like to speak. While, I want to say Brian, but I got that wrong a minute ago.
Brad.
While Brad is coming to the podium, I will just share with council that there's a couple of printouts you got that are his email and the smaller of 2 attachments. This is the larger of 2 attachments, which you have electronically. And I have 1 hard copy if anybody's very fond of hard copies and would like that. Brad?
Yeah, I'll just clarify that I wrote that document. The first 22 pages are my pleadings to FERC. The balance of the 94 are evidence and exhibits proving my statement. So you don't have to read the whole thing if you don't want to. I didn't want to scare you. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity to address this body. Currently, candidates of all stripes promise affordability, but it's never defined. United, we can deliver more affordability than a soundbite. This is not a Public Service Commission request. I'm Brad Molnar, Public Service Commissioner, District 2. At the request of Northwestern Energy, hereafter NWE, the Montana Public Service Commission withdrew their comments from the Federal Anti-Regulatory Commission, hereafter references FERC, that stripped Montana ratepayers of representation on this issue. FERC now recognizes Commissioner Poche and I as legitimate interveners on behalf of Northwestern Energy's legacy customers. This fight is about who will be served by Northwestern Energy's no-cost acquisition of the 370 megawatts of generation at Colstrip 3 and 4. This low-cost electricity could lower residential and small business utility bills by 50%. Northwestern Energy filed documents with the Public Service Commission that these 370 megawatts would serve Montana's customers. They then filed with FERC to change the energy to market-based so they could sell it to a data center, never notifying the Public Service Commission. Northwestern stipulates that their new customers will pay $16.30 a megawatt hour for the generation of Colstrip Unit 4, and that your constituents are paying $70 per megawatt hour for Northwestern Energy generation coming from the same Unit 4, a 500% difference. Currently, these 370 megawatts are sold to new customers. For 2 years then, according to their integrated resource plan, shall be sold to a data center. Retail customers were never considered as recipients, even for the short term. This energy could lower property taxes across Northwestern Energy's footprint by reducing electricity bills, schools, and public buildings, city, county, and state. I'm asking for a letter of support requesting FERC reconsider their determination that Colstrip 370 megawatt shares are of $0 value and return the energy to rate base under the control of the Montana Public Service Commission for use by Montanans, as opposed to at the discretion of Northwestern Energy, sold to one data center. Northwestern won this ruling through conflated public statements of those supporting Northwestern Energy's motion before FERC. FERC critiques of our first filing listed only a failure to cite a footnote, and Northwestern Energy's recent 20-page challenge to our request for rehearing listed zero factual errors. You can quote everything that you are given and have confidence it is accurate. It's been tested. Your letter must be uploaded to FERC as soon as possible. Once FERC rules, which could be at any time, your opportunity to speak on behalf of your constituents is lost. Let's work together on this. We can remind FERC that this is not about protocol or business plans. It is about real families and real employers. This is not about data centers pro or con. This is about the cheapest energy in America and who it shall serve. Your residential customers or data center in Broadview, Montana.
Thank you, Brad. And if you would like to leave a copy of your comments with the clerk, we can make sure that those are included in the public record and shared with council with the hard copy.
The clerk.
That would be Lonnie on the end.
I'm done with you.
All right. Anyone else for public comment? Anyone else in the chambers for public comment? Thanks, Darren. Drive safely.
Thank you.
All right. Seeing none in the chambers, let me look online and see if there's any public comment. Again, I'm looking for raised hands or unmuted mics, or if you want to turn on your camera. All right. Calling a second time for public comment. 3 times for public comment. Entering none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment and we'll return back to the agenda. Again, just a reminder, there'll be an opportunity for public comment at the end of the meeting as well. The next agenda item we have is appointments to city boards. Specifically, this week, I would like to appoint members to the airport board. I'd like to, before I move forward with that, I would like to publicly thank Bo Ewald and Steve Smith, who have served on that board the last few years, and beyond that, they have donated an awful lot of hours into the managing the board. Bo is our airport manager, and Steve has handled the leases. And I will mention that while Steve has indicated he's not going to re-up at this time, he has graciously volunteered to continue to manage the leases for the county. So I'd like to thank him, and both in past tense and in future tense. What I'm going to do is share what I'm doing here, and then at the end of that, I will ask for a motion from council appointing my opinions, or my appointees. The first is I'd like to reappoint Bo, who is our airport manager, has expressed an interest in doing that. Secondly, I'd like to recognize that Gary Harum, who had a letter in our packet for volunteering. However, at this time, what I would like to do is appoint Mike Maples, who is our public works director, to fill the second position as a city representative on that airport council. In full transparency, there was a concern raised about language in the current interlocal agreement that specifies members will serve, quote, without compensation, close quote. I reached out to our city attorney, who has indicated that is not a conflict, and that checks as the commissioners are also elected in there. Additionally, like I said, these are done with advice and consent of council. I reached out to the admin and finance committee yesterday and discussed with them if there were questions and concerns about me appointing Mike Maples as our second representative. And the feedback from that committee is that they were fine with that action. And so at this time, I would like to call for motion to reappoint Bo and to appoint Mike Maples, my selected appointees to the Airport Commission.
I move to approve your appointments of Bo Ewald and Mike Maples to the Airport Board Committee.
I will second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table.
Yeah, I
Councilmember
want
Root.
to oppose one of those people, so I think we need 2 votes.
Council?
For what?
I'm just, is it council's, let me make it easy.
It'll pass anyway, I
Yeah.
know.
So I understand, so let me make it easy. I will accept an amended motion to reappoint Bo Ewald to the Airport Board.
I amend my motion to appoint Bo Ewald
To reappoint?
To
Yep.
reappoint Bo Ewald to the Airport Board.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning and a second from Councilmember Daniels on the amended motion to reappoint Bo Ewald as a standalone. Discussion at the table,
No discussion, I
okay?
think it's 2 different people.
Okay, hearing,
Okay.
recognize. Hearing no discussion, can I get a roll call, please?
Battle.
Yes.
Daniels. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
Ronnie.
Yes.
Rude.
No.
Tupin.
Yes.
5-0, the motion passes.
No, it didn't.
I'm,
Five.
I said no.
5-1.
5-1.
I'm sorry, 5-1. 5-1, the motion passes. I got the 5 right.
You did.
All right, I will entertain a second motion to approve, Mike Maples.
I move to approve your selection of Mike Maples to be on the Airport Board.
I will second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Daniels. Discussion at the table. Hearing none, can I get a vote, please?
Battle.
Yes.
Daniels. Yes. Davis.
Yes.
Ronnie.
Yes.
Rude.
Yes.
Tupin.
Yes.
6-0 by my count. The motion passes. Thank you. And thanks to Mike for accepting, that assignment to serve it.
It's like one more meeting.
All right, I will entertain a motion for resolution 3734. Give council a minute to get their packets up so they can read the verbiage exactly.
I move to approve, resolution number 3734, a resolution to award the 2026 Water Rehabilitation Great West Project 2-22109, task order number 23 for the city of Red Lodge, Montana.
I'll second.
Have a motion from Councilmember Ronning, a second from Councilmember Tupin. Discussion at the table before we open to public comment. Mike, I want to just give you a moment if you want to, you or Chad, or you want to address anything publicly before we go to public comment? Just a short summary.
Yeah, so Mr. Mayor, council members, so we've been working on this rehab project, excuse me, started in 2023 with Jim Bushnell was still here. It was in parallel with the 16-inch bypass that we finished last year. So this summer, we're looking at the rehab. It's a really favorable bidding environment right now. The contractors are really hungry because there's not a lot of work in the streets, so we got a great bid. Mike had added schedules 4 and 5 to the project, and we still were able to come in under the project budget and do all 5, so that's our recommendation. And it's Cobb Construction that finished Hauser and did the 16-inch bypass, so they've shown that they can work in Red Lodge pretty well, so we're pretty confident they can get this one done too.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Chad from the table?
Yes, sir.
Just confirming that there's no additional cost to taxpayers on this or to citizens?
No, the city had obtained an SRF loan that is half forgiveness, and we are actually, the total project budget, if we award all 5 schedules and the task order for our construction inspection, we're still $145,000 under budget with contingency.
And just to clarify, there is that we are making payments on it, but that comes out of utilities. It is not coming from either reserve tax or,
But the utility bills will not be going up, correct?
Nope.
correct, there will be no.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's what,
it's built-
that is
it's
all I
built
wanted
into
to
it.
confirm,
Yeah.
that we don't see any additional monies going.
No, the
Yeah.
two loan packages and the, impact fees that were used for the 16-inch bypass and the water rehab project, we did the calculations and there was no need for a rate increase. You had the debt capacity, because Lonnie manages it really well. Mike and Jim have done great, and so
And
everything was in place.
contractors who come to Red Lodge put forward really good bid packages because they like working in Red Lodge.
They do want to be here, so.
That's awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Any other questions from the table? All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and open to public comment specifically related to Resolution 3734, awarding the bid for the water project application. Go ahead and open public comment. Seeing no one in the room, I'm looking online. Calling for public comment twice, 3 times. We'll go ahead and close public comment. With that, I'll bring it back to the table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, could I get a roll call, please?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniels?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Stupin?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes. I will entertain a resolution or a motion for Resolution 3735.
I move to approve resolution number 3735, the resolution of the City of Red Lodge to approve the contract with Allied Waste Services of North America LLC, doing business as Republic Services of Montana Corporation, concerning the collection of solid waste materials within the City of Red Lodge, Montana.
I will second.
I have a motion from Council Member Ronning and a second from Council Member Daniels. Discussion at the table before we go to public comment.
I'd just like to note that Republic was the only bidder.
Okay, yes. And there was a modification, I think we did get that in the resolution, that they were the only bidder,
Yeah.
It is.
as that.
But even though they were the only bidder, I think that our Public Works Director and the mayor did a great job of, and Danae, of negotiating this contract so that we could get the best deal that we could possibly get, so.
And we do have some additional performance clause provisions there that have not been there in the past as far as once a can is identified as non-functioning, to get those turned around. I do not see Ryan here this week. He was here last week. Mike, did you have anything you wanted to add to that discussion before we go to public comment?
No, I think, credit, Dennis and Danae did a lot of work on the contract, and based on the contract we're working off of, I think that when we have to redo it in 4 years, it's gonna be a lot easier because I think it's a good contract.
Right.
And Danae and Dennison did a lot of work on it, so.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and open up public comment. This is public comment specific to 3735, the Republic Services contract. Looking first to the room. Looking online, public comment going once. Public comment going twice. And 3 times to make it official, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Bring it back to the table for discussion. Seeing no further discussion, could I get a vote, please?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniels? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Stupin?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes. I will entertain a motion for Resolution 3733, a transfer of FAA entitlements.
Hang on 1 second. I gotta find it. It's like, there's a lot of scrolling there. Sorry. There we go. Excuse me. I move to approve resolution number 3733, a resolution of the City of Red Lodge authorizing the mayor to execute requests for FAA approval of agreement for transfer of entitlements.
I will second.
I have a motion from Council Member Ronning and a second from Council Member Daniels. I would like to just add an additional comment before we have discussion at the table, that you will note that there are 2 different entitlements included in the package. You recall that the last time we had left those blank because there was still some open discussion. The airport board at that time was working already with an airport in Stevensville, but that was not for the full allotment. And they had reached out and the FAA advised them that was all they should go for. And so what we did is there was a second request that came in. So what we did is we executed that for the balance. I should note that I am not certain that one will go through. It basically requires approval from the commissioners and also approval from the city because we are both partners in that airport. And again, all this does is they are funds that were set aside for Red Lodge while we were having a master study. In the event that we were determined to be eligible for the AIP Airport Improvements Program funding, we were not determined to be eligible for that. So there are two choices. Either we do nothing and that money reverts to the federal government at large, or we take this action, in which case we get to specify that money stays local to Montana and goes to Montana airports. Discussion at the table. All right, hearing none, we will go ahead and open public comment for the transfer of FAA entitlements, Resolution 3733 specifically. Looking to the room. Seeing no activity, I'm looking online for raised hands or mics turned on. Public comment going once. Public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times. It's official. We'll close public comment. Bring discussion back to the table. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, can I get a roll call, please?
Battles?
Yes.
Daniels? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Rude?
Yes.
Cuban?
Yes.
6-0, that motion passes. All right, that concludes the business portion of our meeting. For those who may be new, what we are now going to move into is the work session part of our meeting. What we try to do in an effort of full transparency is this is an opportunity for the standing committees to bring forth the items that they are working on in standing committees and kind of an opportunity to present things to the full council before they are up for action on the subsequent meeting. And with that, what we'll do is we will start with public health and safety, and I will look to Committee Chair Daniels to lead that discussion.
Okay. Yeah, we just had this meeting, right before this. So before we get to the rural fire district meeting update, we did get a brief update with Chief. He did a great job working along all of our other emergency services with the fire and working with evacuation. He will have a report once the end of April rolls around. We'll have an April report for that. We did talk about a safe zone for the Boys and Girls Club. We're working on that, trying to collaborate between us and Boys and Girls Club and seeing what they need. A lot of ideas were thrown on the table, so we'll probably get with Public Works and Mike Maples to see what we can come up with that. Then you want to do the real fire meeting, Patty, or would you like to defer to Tom if he's sitting?
Tom, just for this reason.
I know.
Yeah.
He does such a great job at giving us the Cliff Notes version.
He does. There's no better.
Let me get the timer.
I know.
No, I'm going to do the Cliff Notes already done to this one. So just a reminder kind of that the City Council has a member that sits on what we call our Oversight Committee. So we have 3 members that sit on our Fire District Oversight Committee. It's a member of the board for the Rural Fire District, a council member, and then a representative from the ambulance, the county ambulance service area. Used to be the ambulance district. But so we meet monthly. We review our financials, review our checks that we write, as well as give updates on where we are in the fire service. And I think the biggest piece in that update, probably most significant, is that we have had a volunteer coordinator position that has been funded for the last 4 years. It was funded for 4 years, been working for about 4.5 years. That was funded on a grant. That grant was expired, and we had applied for a renewal of it, but we did not get that renewal. We're unable to apply again right now because of the Homeland Security shutdown. And so I'm not sure if that will come or when it will come back available. But because of that, that position will be eliminated at the end of this budget year. We don't have funding to continue that. So that will have a significant impact on the department and our ability to continue to, primary that position helps to recruit and retain our volunteer workforce. And so that will have an impact on how we do that. Our call volume is up. We're up about 100 calls year to date. about 700 calls. That's where we are. So we're seeing our numbers move. So that we have just finished basically what we call our training season or our recruitment season. So we bring in new firefighters. Firefighters take about 100 hours worth of training. A year for a new firefighter, by the way, costs somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 to outfit a firefighter. And then EMT class is about 160 hours when we run someone through an EMT class. And so significant time input for our volunteer folks who join our organization. So we generally do that between September and April, May is when we complete those pieces. So our search and rescue class is just finishing as our fire class and our EMT class has completed.
Tom, you mentioned 700 calls. Is that fire specifically, or is that a combination?
That's fire, EMS, and search and rescue. That's across all of this. Yeah.
How many volunteers, did the volunteer coordinator? How many?
So we have about 100, we have over 100 volunteers currently, which is,
a nice problem to have.
It is a nice problem to have, and it is not typical in a community of this size to have a volunteer force of that number in, and we're running about 35 that are dedicated. My numbers won't add up because some people do multiple things. We have 35 fire volunteers, about between 60 and 70 EMS volunteers, and I think it was 47 or 48 search and rescue volunteers. So we count people twice if they do both. Yes. Yeah. So, and now I just step back. I think, when you look at our fire response, we had volunteers from fire, EMS, and search and rescue all doing that fire response, filling in different roles as that went in. So, a lot of participation there from those folks was part of what made that response so impressive.
And the responsibility of coordinating all those volunteers now get allocated between?
Yeah, we're gonna have to allocate it. So we have eliminated, I think you're aware, John Trapp moved to Big Sky. We did not fill his position, and Tim Ryan retired. And so we have been trying to, in order to maintain our budget, we have been forced to eliminate some positions. So that's where we are there.
Councilmember Reed, did I see a hand?
Well, no. I mean, yes, but after Tom's done, I want to add something to public health.
Oh, okay. Any other questions from the table? Go ahead.
It's me again, even though I'm in the meeting.
Councilmember me again. Do you have any questions for Tom?
Yeah, so how many full-time employees do you have?
So we have 3 paramedics that work shift work. So they divide up the week. They work 48 hours on and 2 days on and then 4 days off. And then our assistant chief, Torsten Prahl, manages, he does a lot of the day-to-day management, because I'm not a full-time employee. I think if you don't know that. And then we have Kim Bettenauers does our office management. We also have Katie Hedke, who works for us primarily, is paid for through our fuels production program. And so we also have Tyler Ray and Danny Johnson, who they work under the fuels program, so it's kind of a separate. It's a kind of a separate enterprise budget. So and then Ruth Billieu works part-time doing community care.
Yeah. Any other questions for Tom from the table? All right, hearing none, let me go first to Committee Chair Daniels.
Yes. Did you want to?
Yeah, especially since the newspaper's here and Mike's here, I want to talk a little bit about we're going to make some progress on this at long last on this block, kids block at Boys and Girls Club, daycare, skate park, field school and park. And I think I just want to make sure we're ordering. Believe it or not, there's no children playing signs up on that stretch of road. So looking at the cost of portable speed humps and flashing stoplight, that's what the Boys and Girls Club women requested. More signs, and there's something else that we were going to order.
Well, we were going to discuss. These were the ideas that came up. It's not a done deal yet.
Okay.
I think we were looking to see what we added storage first.
Oh, that's right, okay, I
And
forgot.
then we'll go
Look
from
at
there.
that first, and then, but I think if we talk about something that'll happen, and we've been talking about this for a year and a half, and I just wanna make that area different and colorful and safe. And so we're on our way, and, as Mary Poppins said, once begun is half done. So, that's what I have to say.
Love it.
Love it.
Again, that quote?
Perfect.
All right, any other questions? Any other questions from the table for the Public Health and Safety Committee?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, hearing none, let's go to admin and finance, and for that, I will look to Committee Chair Ronning, and I did not get those changes we talked about, but there's the scribbles on it for next time.
Okay. Well, primarily, let's just talk about, the annexation, of the city of Red Lodge into Red Lodge Fire District. There is a, draft resolution in the packet for this, and we did make some changes during the meeting to that. I don't know if I can read your writing,
Oh.
but, sorry. But if you want to kind of just
Do you
go
want me
over
to
the,
summarize?
yeah.
Okay.
If I start talking too much, I'll cough again.
Okay, yeah, we don't want that to happen. So in the does everybody have a copy? I did have some extra hard copies, but I believe that made it into the packet, so everybody has that. In the whereases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whereas, which acknowledges that, if there's annexed into the fire district, property owners within the city will pay a separate tax levied by the fire district by approximately 21.81 mils annually for fire protection services. And then they, committee wanted to include in that to make sure that in our and it was actually having to do with the presentation, not the resolution, to compare that to their ambulance assessment, which they're already getting. On the first whereas, on the second page, whereas the city of Red Lodge may, through allocation of resort tax revenues, provide supplemental funding to the rural fire district for capital equipment apparatus or facility improvements that benefits residents and the visitors of the city. And then I have, you think I can read my writing? We will require, and whereas, adding a second whereas, whereas it will require an allocation to keep from reducing the financing of the fire department. So the previous to whereas to that, which says, as a result of the annexation, the rural fire district will receive reduced funding. And so then the next whereas was, we can do it from resort tax, and there was an additional whereas to be added that says that if we don't do that, they have a cut in funding. And then the actions now therefore be it resolved, just was adding a first statement there that says the city is in favor of it. So basically, the council is in favor of it, which is basically why we're passing a resolution of intent. And I also have another whereas all resort
tax, that's where all other resort tax districts in the state of Montana pay for, fire protection.
Contribute to fire protection. So that was an additional whereas to be included within
We
that.
are right now the only district that does not.
Madam Chair, is there anything else from the scribble? So did we cover that to your?
I think we covered it, yes.
Okay,
So,
back to you.
Yeah, so I guess, we just like some input from everybody. We're trying to get this all, ready to go so we can vote on this resolution, so we can move forward with the petition. To get that petition out there, and as we've said multiple times, it's not a vote. It doesn't go to the vote of the people. It's a petition, and in order to get annexed into Red Lodge Rural Fire Department, we'll have to have 40% of the property owners within the city limits of Red Lodge that equal or greater than 40% of the value. It has to be both of the taxable value. So, and I did ask if there's like a time limit, and the main time limit would be that, oh, did you? Okay.
I did. So there was another assignment that was given to me that was not included there, which is there a time limit on the signatures? I reached out with the elections administrator. There is not. However, if a property is sold, then those signatures are disqualified from both lists. So they used that to validate it. And there was also a recommended change they had to the petition based on a recent petition that they'd done. And so we afforded that to her, and she is getting the edits back. So the petition that we will include next week will have gone through the elections administrator and signed off on.
And the mayor has been working really hard on a presentation showing the budget constraints that we have right now, especially with paying for our fire district on a mills base out of our general fund, and how the city has lost their buying power over the last 20, 30 years.
2002.
2002, way more than, what was it, 24%, 25%?
Yeah, 22.8% 2 years ago.
Yeah. So yes. The mills that we are collecting in property tax that go into our general fund are not keeping up with our expenses, is the bottom line. And currently, public health and safety is, between the police department and the fire department, over 100% of our property taxes is going to public health and safety. It's being paid out of other items right now.
I would like to add that it is anticipated, based on the other communities, that what we're doing here is just starting the process and saying yes. It is basically, as we go out, we're saying yes, we are interested in doing this, and therefore this effort is justified. I anticipate that we will make tweaks and modifications as we start going out. If we do an initial mailing and that doesn't get the response, which is kind of a guesstimate that it won't, just based on other communities. So by moving this forward for action next week, which is what I'm hoping we can do, what we're doing is just starting the process. It doesn't mean it's done. It doesn't mean the presentation is done. It doesn't mean we won't continue to approve and modify that. It just says council is on board with pursuing this action.
It doesn't mean that we'll get the required signatures.
Yeah. And then when we do, there will be a separate council action that accepts that and moves it forward at that point in time.
Does anybody have any input on this?
I just have a question, and I'm not expressing opinion one way or another. I was just wondering how we prioritize where the additional funds from the annexation from the budget would go to the items listed, current police protection and hire a city administrator.
That would be it.
At this point, I don't know. I'm actually scheduled, so our budget season officially starts in earnest in May, and Lonnie and I are sitting down and looking at that. I have some as you guys know, we have been looking at a city administrator position. That position may be somebody who has a planning background. It may be somebody who has a project management background. We've kind of opened it up for several different functions that position has historically done in the past. One of the concerns I have before we go out in earnest and recruit that person is making sure that we can pay for it. And so those are the top two priorities that we identified. I don't know that they're mutually exclusive, and part of that will come to light as we get into the budgeting process. This is just, as we had the early discussions, a question that rightfully came up is, where's that money going to go? You know, that 28 mils that we're currently paying to fire, what are we going to do with it if we're not using that? And so those were the two that were identified, and from an administration standpoint, those are my two highest concerns. So that's why that whereas is there.
Okay. I didn't know if it needs to be limited or itemized and prioritized.
I'm certainly open if council wants to put in a first and second, but.
No, I'm not suggesting anything, just wondering. Thank you.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's just, this is A and B. There's not a particular order there.
Okay. Thank you.
Other discussion at the table to help move this forward? Are we good moving this forward for action next time?
With all the edits to the whereases?
With
and
the edits, yeah.
opportunity to review?
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. And the next thing, we have a resolution forming a Main Street Committee. And there's a copy of that also in the packet. And just so you know, as everyone knows, we were accepted back into the Montana Main Street Program back in 2016, and then we were recertified this year in 2026. And we are, with that recertification, we are forming an official Main Street Program Committee. That includes, down below, it has what that makeup of that board will be. It will be one member from the Red Lodge Chamber of Commerce with the intent of representing Red Lodge Commerce and Tourism, one member from Red Lodge Business Alliance with the intent of representing the Main Street businesses, one member from Red Lodge Area Community Foundation with the intent of representing the nonprofit community, one member from City Council representing the constituency, one member from City Planning staff representing an understanding of city process and project development, and up to 2 volunteers who may or may not be affiliated with any of those above. So we have kind of an at-large volunteer participation there, because it's always, you know. So, yeah, Chelsea started this, and I took it to Main Street program, and they had a lot of edits, and we've got those in there. Dennison has reviewed this, so the main thing was the 4 points of the Red Lodge Main Street program, which they are economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization. It's primarily to help protect and promote our downtown areas throughout Montana, because there's a lot of main streets in Montana that have died, and this program was formed with these 4 points to help support Main Street program, Main Streets throughout Montana. And it's a big honor to be part of it, and it also opens up funding, grant funding for a lot of different projects downtown.
All right, any inputs needed before we move this forward for action, or are we good to move this forward for action next week?
I'm good.
Okay, seeing no widely dissents, we'll move that for action next time. Anything else from the Admin and Finance Committee without talking too much, so you call?
Jeremy, Chelsea, any other comments?
No, I'm ready for.
Okay.
Any questions for Admin and Finance from the rest of council?
Okay.
Don't.
All right, seeing none, thank you. Next, we will move to land use and planning, and for that, we will look to Committee Chair Tupin and give your voice in.
Yeah, so Committee Chair Tupin, we were working on ordinance number 960, this will be the second amendment for it, and this is essentially Chapter 8, the use of city-owned land and permits and events. Specifically, we wanted to address expressive use and making sure that freedom of speech is protected and encouraged throughout the community. So we did add an additional whereas it is the intent of the City of Red Lodge to encourage and allow the citizens' freedom of speech and expression, and has no intention of hindering that right or limiting a citizen in their ability to protest. So some of the places specifically where we made edits was a definition of picketing. Dennison had made a edit to that, which I think we had all determined to scratch. Now we did receive his notes, so we got this yesterday, and
yeah, that was just today, because we noticed in the meeting that there was changes from what council had submitted, and what it boiled down to is when it was forwarded to put in the packet, it didn't say, oh, by the way, I made comments, make sure you expand it to include those. So I apologize for that.
Yep.
And everybody has a hard copy in front of them for that.
Yep, so city attorney made a note, and it's specifically picketing has usually been limited to workers versus just expressive activities. We wanted to expand that to make it a little bit more flexible and to keep freedom of expression safe and secured. And his thought was, it's still important for people to inform the city of expressive activities, and if we don't restrict them for planning offices, and I think that's addressed later on. I felt like his comment doesn't really make sense to me. Sorry.
And in fairness, I'll add, and Councilmember Tupin addressed it a little bit, and it came up in the standing committee as well, that picketing is one of those terms that historically has been tied to labor disputes, and so
right.
This is modifying that a little bit as proposed.
Yeah, but again, his comment doesn't have anything to do with the fact that it was labor specific or anything to do with work. So again, his comment to me was he wanted to add the number of participants to provide flexibility. I'm scratching it.
I feel that is
the committee's intent as well. We'll obviously discuss this again, but from what we had discussed at our meeting, we will scratch when the number of picketers is less than 10, because we're not trying to limit things. We do have it addressed later within this, that we want to have people provide notice, but they don't necessarily, they're not required to. Anyhow, that's my notes on that. Also, under exemptions, what's marked in blue, the committee discussed, there is a section, groups that want exclusive use of recreational facilities holding an MOU need to coordinate directly with the user group, which is not how we have previously done that or coordinated, with different events and uses. So that's been done through the city, and we decided we would like to strike that second sentence as well.
So they won't have to coordinate with the user group?
Yeah,
No.
we don't see the
Right, we
city's
don't.
role in
Okay.
those situations.
Yeah, exactly, no.
And it's specifically, even if they did need to can coordinate with the user group, having it under exemptions is not the place to discuss that, as Jeremy pointed out. So,
Do we have a, I know that we had like a calendar where people would put stuff on,
Yep.
so
yep,
the
essentially.
city can keep track of if it's a
Yeah, and the
conflict or
user
not.
groups that have MOUs are exempt, which we want to maintain that within item E under exemptions. But they do coordinate with the city to make sure that they have that space reserved for their uses. So, yeah, they coordinate for their uses, but they don't necessarily determine and dictate the other people that want to use public space. Moving on to F, under exemptions, this is where we wanted to make the bulk of the edits to make sure that expressive activity was permitted, or permitted without permits. So demonstrations or rallies involving solely expressive activity must be conducted on city property. Or may be conducted on city property without a permit subject to the restrictions below. So shall be conducted on property that is not occupied by another event. We did want to add before event, permitted event. So someone else.
Permitted or reserved.
Yeah, I think
Previously.
permitted, just based off the language of this document, I think that makes the most sense. Then under 2, a spokesperson or of the event, so we made a change to this as well. A spokesperson of the event should provide written notice to the city authority of the date and time of the event and provide an estimate of the approximate number of people who will be participating so that the city may assess the need for additional public services. So kind of going back to the concern that was drawn under picketing, which again, weird spot for it, but this is where we're gonna put it, is we do request that people, if and when they can, provide a date and time of the event and the approximate number of people, so that way we can plan accordingly for public health and safety. It is, again, not a requirement, but it is a request. Yes, sir.
And Madam Chairman, I'd just like to add from an administration standpoint, I look at load of staff, and so it's, I mean, ultimately, this will be council's resolution to pass, that is their job as legislative body, but I would like everybody to make sure that we are comfortable with what we are doing as far as notices. The old one basically said if it was an impromptu event, you know, due to news that showed up in 48 hours, my request is just as you review the language, keep an eye to the administrative side of things, to make sure, you know, that we're providing adequate, so we don't get blindsided from a city standpoint.
So with that, now, because I feel like that wasn't addressed before, is this, how it's written now, an issue for the city staff in terms of getting notice of potential events, even if they're not necessarily marking off the calendar or anything of that nature?
And like I said, ultimately, that's council's decision. I'm sharing that from the administrator position. I just want to make sure we don't take that piece out of it. I was kind of confused with the comments, just kind of that's just my ask. As you review it, please keep that in mind. That was all. I was not saying it was a problem.
Well, that's what I'm asking, is it?
I think that if you know that there's going to be an event, that notice should be definitely given to the city. I mean, we don't have in here like how many days before or anything like that, but should we need extra staffing, you know, if it's going to be a large one where we may need, extra police protection for for the organizers and for participants. You know, I guess I would like to have, I don't know.
The previous version carved out and treated differently events, impromptu, spontaneous events.
Yeah.
And we just, I don't think there's necessarily a need for that distinction. If it's solely expressive, it's solely expressive.
Okay.
And I think the should covers the ability or the desire for notification.
And realistically, it is a pretty small town, that if we see a bunch of people gathering in a location, I think it will get the police attention.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that it necessarily needs to be written notice. I think that it could be just notice. It could be written or verbal. It could be
Okay.
a phone call.
Yeah.
You know, I think you might get better participation in, like,
Sure.
letting the city know if they can just call
Yeah.
and say, hey, we're gonna have this.
And thank you to Councilmember Battles, because I think your comments kind of addressed where my concern was, which is just, we had more explicit wording there that is now gone, and what I heard you say is, it was the feeling of the committee that that wording is not necessary without, and like I said, it's ultimately council's purview, and from an administration side, we will administer to our best abilities that which council puts
And we,
forward.
we didn't feel that distinction was necessary. Same thing with the picketing, distinguishing between labor and express and
Okay, thank you.
it is what it is.
We're trying to keep that flexible and open.
Yeah.
Number 3 was the consumption of alcoholic beverages, physical alteration of property, sales of goods and or services and or solicitation are prohibited during the event. Any damages to city property may be the responsibility of the individuals who caused said damage. This is still specifically just trying to protect the city's public spaces, as well as, the intent of the event or the gathering or the demonstration.
Can we
This
change
is-
that made to will be? They will be responsible for damages they do?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's just a suggestion.
No, that's fine. I just say, if you catch them, great. That's why I think I had the maybe, is like, they might not get caught. But anyhow, the intent of this was, again, to protect the public land, the public space, as well as the general public, and to keep this from being an opportunity for selling merch, and more so as truly expressive activities. The other location of change, is further down, much further down. It's a large
Sure.
scrolling. We're down to our insurance requirements. The authority shall waive insurance requirements, and we included if the event involves solely expressive activity. And then we edited number 2, that the applicant is indigent. I can't say it. Who can say it?
Indigent.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I can never say it correctly, so I appreciate that. If someone cannot pay insurance, because before it was, if it was an expressive activity and they couldn't pay, now it is breaking those two apart. So we're still maintaining that if someone can't pay insurance fees, they're not necessarily not capable of using the space. They just have to be able to show within good reason that they
Using
cannot
the
pay.
space at all, or just for expression of speech?
Using
For-
the space at all.
Using the space at all. So if, for instance, I'm broke, but I want to have a birthday party, even if it's not for expressive use, the insurance may be waived if I can prove that I can't pay for that.
Okay, I'm broke, but I want to host an axe throwing competition in Lions Park.
And how do they prove it?
They have to prove it.
I mean,
So, and here's
that
the
would be an
requirement.
exclusive use.
That's
I
what
assume.
I said, that's what I was asking, is it covered under, because I'm broke, and I'm gonna try to solve my broke by renting the park and having an axe, raising money with an axe throwing competition.
That's where.
But I'm broke, so I don't have to have insurance, that concerns me.
So going into reading this, let's just make sure that it's not covered, and if not, we can readdress it. But, because the intent was to be good, so let's try and make sure we can be good.
Yeah, the intent of that originally was, if you could not, you wanted to have exclusive use of the gazebo for your child's birthday party, and,
The indigent clause
yeah.
was for that, I was thinking indigent was tied to expression
No.
previously.
It
was
was tied to
supposed to-
expression.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it was
it
supposed,
tied to
it was supposed to be
Yeah.
for, and I thought we also had it more for, if it was the small events, like under 75 people, not the large events.
I don't believe that was specified, even though that may have been the original.
That was the original intent, was like
So-
if if a family wants to, reserve a part and have a reunion and they can't afford, insurance for it,
What
then
is,
we
what
can
is the
waive it.
criteria that staff is going to use? How do we get that out of a subjective
If you
conversation
can-
for staff?
If you just let me read it, okay. As I mentioned before your previous conversation that you had. So the person or organization is required to apply for the status at the time of the permit application. The person or organization is required to provide such information and documentation as may be reasonably necessary for the authority to verify such a status. The authority may deny an application for the status if the applicant fails to provide fails to timely provide the information and documentation requested. So it does say that it can be denied, but it's also based off of timeliness. It is objectively, the other reason for insurance being waived is it's objectively impossible to obtain insurance coverage as demonstrated by the applicant's submission of 2 statements from independent licensed insurance brokers stating that the insurance is unavailable.
I kind of have a problem with that because the only reason why it would be unavailable is that it's a very high-risk activity. And I don't know that we really want an event like that in a public place that has no insurance.
Okay.
So you think insurance substitute to the city?
Okay. So again, these are all things that had pre-existed, so it's good that we are reading it out loud.
And I still have a concern with the indigent because the indigent may impact your ability to pay for insurance. It doesn't eliminate the need of the city and its residents to be insured and have protection.
Yep. I think we can take a look at this further.
I feel like in the rest of the document, it covers cases like that's
Yeah.
just an unsafe activity.
Yep.
For instance, the authority may place reasonable conditions on any permit concerning time, place, or manner. All of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
I was
covers.
gonna say, that was kind of my thought as
Some
well, but I wanted to read through it and
unusual.
confirm, because I know that even within our applications, there's quite a bit of room for the city to be able to turn down or deny an event application if they can deem so as necessary. So I know that there is a lot of protection on the city to be able to deny events. They can't just allow for any individual thing to be happening. That being said, I can't directly quote to where that is at this point, so until I have that for the council,
Okay.
I'm not gonna say like, oh no, we're good, and then just make the assumption, so.
So is your feel that and I'll ask the committee first, is your feel that this with edits can be ready for action next week, or you want another cycle through it before it comes for
I would
action?
prefer to have another cycle through it, because frankly, unless it's gonna make it into the packet for everybody to review, but we're gonna be reviewing this at our meeting, when the packets happen beforehand, so.
Yeah.
That's generally my feeling, is it should be in the packet before it's ready to go to vote.
Can I just ask a quick question? And I know this wasn't anything that we changed, but under insurance requirements, it says the insurance policy must name the city, its officers, employees, and agents as additional insured. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Wouldn't we just list the city?
That's a great question for the
I'm
insurance
like,
agents.
yeah,
I
like,
could pull one
that-
of the certificates of insurance we've received. and you can
I mean,
look at it
I've
and
never
see what the wording is.
seen, I've never done a certificate of insurance like that where I list all the officers, the employees, and,
Yeah,
you know,
that
it's
seems
just the city of Red
expensive.
Lodge. And so I kind of have a.
Your expertise is welcomed in the
I
discussion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you will know better than I, so.
Well, I think if we actually put that, I think that our insurance companies would have an issue with that, because we are insuring then the actions of, you know, the employees, the cities, everybody, you know, if they're an additional insured, versus just giving the city of Red Lodge protection.
Yep.
So let me formalize the ask. If the full council would please take the time to go through that document and forward any comments or suggested edits to Committee Chair Tupin, she will then disseminate them to the committee members, and they can include that in their discussion next week. And hopefully, next week we can come and be ready to move it on for action the following week, because once begun, we're making progress.
You're gonna use that a lot.
I'm not that smart to remember it, but I like it. Never argue with Mary Poppins, that's a rule. Abe Lincoln said that.
Yes, right.
All right, any other, so forward your comments on to Committee Chair Tupin, who will be sending this group. Any other, comments from land use and planning?
So otherwise, we worked on other things. There's a lot of stuff that we have up in the air at this moment, and we're just kind of waiting for some finalized pieces to come through. So stay tuned as we have a long agenda of items that will probably all happen at once.
We are anticipating, that the planner, schedule permitting will be at the next meeting, for the land use and planning document that the committee has been working on. Any questions for land use and planning from the rest of council before we move on? Seeing none, thank you, Committee Chair Tupin.
Thank you.
And let's move on to Public Works, and for that, we will look to Committee Chair Ronning.
Well, we've already gone over a lot of Public Works with what we voted on earlier today. Our Public Works Director always gives us a great, Public Works update. Is there any way that we could put this in the
Yeah, and
online,
I actually
the
have
packet?
hard copies of that here
So
I don't know that I got that out to everybody, but we can include that in the
there's
packet as
lots
well.
of updates to the stormwater, the wastewater, the water, the streets, the pool. So, solid waste, and of course our parks. So it's a lot, and they're extremely busy.
If you were not part of Public Works and want to take each one of those and then hand it back, I'll make sure it goes the other way as well.
So I just think everybody should get a copy of that, because it's just some really great information. On the pool, currently there is no pool house manager. That job, description will be finished this week.
It's in the paper,
It's in the paper?
Yeah.
Yay, okay.
on Thursday.
Mayor, Westward and, Jennifer Drinkwalter are, she's our actual pool in charge of pool certification. They've been working together on a new organization chart and a schedule for the pool and to develop staffing needs.
And
there's a whole
Mike
new
Maples
chart for that.
And Mike Maples, because it's actually his department,
Yes.
so.
Lifeguard training and certification is ongoing and going well. So that's great news because we're literally probably just a little over a month away on having the pool open. Doesn't seem like it with the snow outside, but yeah. The EDA street project will begin May 4th. I don't know if you already talked about that in your update. The contract includes 139 days to substantially complete and another 15 days to completion. I think that extra is that extra if they have?
It's just on Swiss item.
Okay. Yeah. And look for updates and maps. They'll be posted on the city's website. There was a Google Groups. Also, you know, if you're interested in any of these projects like this, do sign up for Google Groups because I know that a lot of those notices are sent out through Google Groups. But the best place to look is on the city's website, and it'll show where the street closures are and where they're working. And I know on that Facebook page in the Google group, they did ask that if you're in that group, please do not park your vehicles in the city right away where they're working because they'll be working there. So I think that's probably one of the most important things out of that, and we're really excited to see that come about.
May I give your voice just a small break?
Thank you.
So for signing up for the Google Groups, if you go to the front page of the city website, you'll immediately get a banner that says sign up here. If you're not signed up, you have to click through that to get to the rest of it. And then at the bottom of the page is the news section, and one of those news tabs is current projects, and that's where all of these projects are. So you can go there and click on this, and that's where we'll put the Rocky Fork in. We'll add that to that list of pages there too.
And
Enough of a catch-up?
yes, the wastewater phases 2 and 3 plans, they've been approved by the DEQ. There is a timeline of events for that, starting May 7th for bid solicitation, all the way down to June 9th, when they will have the opening, or May 28th will be the bid opening, and June 9th will be the awarding of it. This will be coming in front of council. It'll be a similar resolution that we just did with the water. So, Mike, feel free to, yes.
I presented it in Public Works last night, and I just want to get, is that schedule good for council and for the mayor to
Yeah.
proceed with.
It is. The one thing that we had from our notes, Chad, is to make sure that we have a fill-in-the-blank copy. So our council meeting is before the bid award, and in the past, what we've done is basically have the template so that council can see what it looks like, and then when it's up for action, we have filled in the blanks, but that way we get both cycles without adding delay to the schedule. Does that make, so it's a blank award letter. We're filling it to fill in the blank, so it's just so council has seen the format rather than putting on an official meeting to do that. Because my concern is, I don't want to delay it 2 weeks because of once the bid is awarded, I want to be able to immediately get it approved and move forward.
So-
But I also want council to have the opportunity to see what it looks like. So that was,
So
and you've done that with us in the past on other events that we have a timeline on.
The pre-bid meeting at City Hall is May 14th. And then in there between the 14th and probably the 28th, we'll have something below the fold, and then the council meeting before June 9th, we will hopefully be able to vote on that. Does that sound right? So the 8th? Is that the 8th? What day is that?
June 9th is the first council meeting
Okay.
after the bid opening. And so we
Okay.
want to be able to award it at the quickest available opportunity
So
after
do you
the.
want it up for action then in May? Or
No.
do you want it on June 9th?
No, because when is the bid opening?
It's the same schedule we did for this project, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so the bid opening is on
Exactly
May
the same as
26th, so
what we
the
did for
June is
project
the
you
first
approved
one that's
tonight.
an opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
similar to the water project, I laid out the schedule where, what do you guys describe it, below the fold?
Yeah, that's
I would let
this
you
work
know.
session that we're in right now.
This is
Mike
below
and
the
I
fold.
want to update you that we're bidding the wastewater project. The bid
Okay.
opening is May 28th, I think is the proposed date. That gives us like a week after the bid openings if we have to get references, if it's a contractor we don't know,
Okay.
evaluate the project budget and provide a recommendation to award. But then you guys can take action on at the June 9th council.
Okay, perfect.
So what we'll have on the second meeting in May is we'll have the resolution with some blanks in it to be filled in after the bid opening.
Yes, and
Perfect.
I can work with Lonnie to put together a template and
Okay.
we can have that for you to.
Yeah.
That makes more sense on the resolution with the blanks to fill in versus my recommendation letter, so that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, the resolution with blanks, that will, yeah,
That'll be easy, yep.
Okay.
no crystal balls required.
Okay, let's see. Stormwater, of course, that is in full swing, or will be soon again.
I'm gonna add one comment to there.
Yes, go ahead.
For, with the stormwater, we are using outside funding sources for that. There were a couple of sections on our stormwater where, because it hadn't run far enough, we were putting it into the wastewater system. And the people providing the money said, no, we don't pay for stormwater to go into wastewater. And so, Mike looked at it, and rather than putting it off and paying a higher cost for those in the future, we are adding some additional stormwater to accommodate, to make sure that we're able to do that, and that fits within the budget. But just in full transparency, yeah, just in full transparency, we're adding some stormwater so that we can qualify for the wastewater project, because they didn't want to pay for wastewater we were dumping stormwater into.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's against the regulations.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna bend.
Yeah.
And
So just in, like I said, in full transparency, the committee is aware of that, but I want to make sure full council is aware of that too.
Yeah.
You will see that the scope of that project change a little bit to accommodate and keep the wastewater in place.
And our great public works crew is currently installing a stormwater main line from the corner of First Street East and North Cooper up into the parking lot of Coal Miners Park, saving us quite a bit of money by them doing the work. So,
We're gonna try and drain the lake.
yeah.
The goal is to get to that parking lot.
Drain the fall.
We're trying to eliminate Lake Coal Miners Park.
Oh, man,
I know.
that's a lot.
So, when we just did the water project, that's what we voted on tonight, COP Construction. And they've done a lot of work for us in the past. In fact, they, as Mike said earlier, they just finished, or maybe it was great, the 16-inch bypass project. They're just finishing that up, so. But, we've signed the contract with Republic Services. we will have a there was a public hearing held on April 23rd for the Rocky Fort Bank Stabilization Project. It's moving forward, but we don't know if it'll occur this year. It might be next spring, correct, of 2027.
And again, that's dependent on the contractor and their feeling on Willows.
Yes. So that was our wonderful update. And then, of course, there's also Parks Board update. If you
Come to
want.
the meeting Wednesday night, 5:30, a week from Wednesday, May 6th, come 5:30 to 7,
Yes.
please.
Be there, be square.
That's right.
Yes.
To 7?
5:30 to 7.
Okay, I thought they were normally an hour long.
Nope,
but-
an hour and a half.
And usually they go a bit
And they go
longer.
longer.
Yeah, I know, yes.
So they'll come.
I don't think I've been to one that's only been an hour and a half.
Mike, did you have any other updates you wanted to share that I missed? Thank you.
Any questions from the rest of council for the Public Works Standing Committee? Councilmember, Davis.
It's probably irrelevant, but I was just wondering, when the contractors come in for the allotted time for the project, do they stay and lodge in Red Lodge and eat and dine the whole time, or do they come and go from local areas?
That's up to them and where they're from.
Yeah, it depends. Some contractors choose to stay, and part of their crew will stay, and some drive back and forth if they're close enough to like Billings every day.
Columbus or something, okay,
But they definitely buy gas while they're here and
yeah.
supplies from Napa and Ace and they hire local guys if they can. In fact, the street project, the superintendent lives here, right? Yeah. He's a Red Lodge resident, so. Cool.
I was wondering what, the impact is from all these awesome projects, from their
Yeah, but
footprint
like
here.
most brothers out of Wyoming, they usually stay, they pull up campers and stuff and stay, and our RPR stays here full-time. In fact, he's from Eureka, so he doesn't even go home anymore. He stays weekends and everything, and fishes and hangs out, and, just moves to Red Lodge for fun.
Cool.
Yeah, we get a lot of
Yeah.
them staying with us, it's great.
Good. Thank you, yeah.
Any other questions for Public Works from the rest of the table? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close that. We'll move to correspondence. This is an opportunity for council to share the correspondence they may have received. There was a lot that I handed out tonight, prior to the meeting, that had come in after the packets went out, and they will be included in future packets, but I wanted to make sure that folks had that. As well as an opportunity for council members to introduce or share something that they feel is of interest, to the full board. Councilmember Tupin?
I received a text message prior to the meeting, few thoughts from Kristen Cogswell on the airport board member appointees. 1, no more pilots. Gary Harum is a pilot. He left the board when I became mayor. Number 2, putting Mike Maples on the board seems like it's a conflict to Mike and his job. I'd be delighted if he attended ex officio, but it puts him in a bad spot to put him on the board. Not a good idea. 3, Bo's term is up and he should be replaced. He represents pilots, not the city. Thank you. And
Thank you for sharing that.
the other correspondence I have is I will not be here for our next meeting, or the standing committee meetings prior. I will be celebrating my grandmother's birthday and Mother's Day, with my family. That being said, I do intend to be available for the land use and planning meeting. That if I'm not, I plan on providing a very detailed email with notes. So,
Do you have a pre-designated, who's gonna handle that meeting, next week in your absence? Will that be Councilmember Battles or Councilmember Daniels?
Daniel just told me Councilmember Battles, so.
I saw that too.
Unanimous, I know how this works.
I was gonna let them fight for it, but it sounds like they came to it on their own, so, that is I apologize, it snuck up on me a lot sooner than I expected, and I was like, oh, wow, it's already the end of the month. So, yeah, I do plan on providing very detailed notes and, again, trying to get some of this all put in place prior to leaving. So, but that is something to note, and if I cannot attend because I'm having too much fun with my family, then that's just what it is.
Other correspondence from the table?
Oh, me.
Councilmember Davis?
I just want to apologize to Lonnie for, and to Ms. Paulson. I, was delayed in sending that correspondence to you. I thought you were included in that, and you weren't, and I'm sorry about that. Because that's why it was not in the packet. It was in the handout, so
Okay.
I'll pay closer attention to make sure that you're CC'd on those.
And so
Email.
that's something that'll be included in the next packet then?
Yeah,
Okay, so
sure.
everybody get a soft copy next time.
Mm-hmm.
Other
Thank
correspondence
you.
from the table?
I did have one question. I'm not sure if it was just me who received it, or if it was everybody.
Millie?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
It was specific to a land trade potential for the hillside, not the one that we have currently. So yeah, it looks like it's just me.
I don't recall that.
He called, he was asking who was on the land use, and
Oh.
so,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So I will make sure to send the correspondence, but specifically it is the Kotar property on the hillside, up above Grant and kind of by the gazebo up top in Van Dyke. Very steep terrain through there, and he's wondering if the city would be interested in doing a trade or purchasing the land.
yeah. And I received a phone call from him as well, and so, I haven't talked to all of the related staff, but at this point, there has not been an interest, and I will add, we don't have the funds to be purchasing land at that point. I will go backtrack to the committees. We had, somebody who shared an intent to request an encroachment agreement,
Yeah,
and that came to.
or abandonment,
Pardon?
or abandonment.
Yeah,
either or.
and that came to which committee?
Public Works.
Public Works, and they are gonna forward that on to Land Use and Planning, I think is the appropriate channel to introduce that in.
I thought,
Exciting.
do you have copies of that, right? To give to.
I thought you had them, but we can get them if you don't.
I do.
I think
I
I
did. I
did
have-
scan it actually,
yeah.
so I did scan it, so I can forward it on
That's the
electronically.
best way to do it. If you give me
Yeah.
a piece of paper, it will.
I know. I
It'll
disappeared.
get put in the planner and disappear.
Yeah.
Okay, so that will be something that, for Land Use and Planning to add to the agenda. Stand-in Chairman Battles.
Have so much fun while I'm gone.
We got
I will look forward to the email. Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be, don't worry, I'll likely be.
All right, other correspondence,
Oh, actually, I have a question. Is there a way that we can reschedule it?
reschedule.
Our land use and planning meeting to happen at a different time of the day that makes it a little bit easier to attend? I don't know. Just a thought?
If it is a free and available time and we include sufficient public notice of that, and council, and that committee wants to do it, I certainly,
I defer to you guys, but like, that being said, I'm gone for like the whole week prior to, so probably not.
When are you, when?
I do know that there are some members of that committee that have work conflicts, which is why it was done
Oh,
at
for
the time
sure.
that it does.
We'll go to
Yep.
summer hours too.
Yeah, so I will be leaving next Tuesday, so, in like a couple days. Again, it snuck up. I was not mentally prepared for this.
Wow.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
I'm gonna be gone for almost 10 days. I can't even think of the last time I've been out of town that long. It's my honeymoon, that was the last time I was gone this long. Anyway, it's just something to think about.
Okay,
Okay.
noted.
All right, other correspondence, absences? All right, hearing none, we're gonna go back to public comment. So again, this is the opportunity for the public to address council and be heard on anything within the council's purview. Standard 3 minutes. And we'll go ahead and open the public comment at this time. Looking to the room. Seeing no one in the room, looking to online, looking for hands, mics. Turned on cameras. Public comment going once. Public comment going twice. Public comment going 3 times. We'll go ahead and close the public comment. And with that, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.